Activities that you partake in will literally shape you as a person, and it shapes your daily life. I have not been posting because I've been on vacation, but I checked my TikTok and I was looking at my comments, and a realization came to me. Not only do people really lack like critical thinking skills and the ability to like see what others are saying because they're not actually engaging with people and they're out of practice with having actual constructive conversations. And people have just kind of become used to this like one-on-one, I comment something and I leave. But something that I've noticed is like the activities that people partake in really shape who they are. I've noticed that like a lot of people who are really addicted to social media, like I've said before, participate in this idea of like becoming an archetype that's palpable for others. So that basically means that like you have like these different kinds of characters in modern society, like the clean girl or like the alt girl or like a gym bro, etc. And I've seen that people like have to do this, like they have to know who they are and they have to know like how to present themselves to others to be stable within themselves. And it's not really, if you think about it, you're putting on a show for other people. It's not really for yourself. You're not seeing that. You're performing something for other people because it gives you some sort of consolation. And it's just really interesting to me because like I was talking to my friend about how like why would I go out of my way to be some sort of archetype for others so they can wrap their head around who I am and make them more comfortable. And I understand sometimes you have to do that for your own safety. I totally understand that. But like there are some people who like just go out of their way to be extra with that shit. And it makes me realize just how much society has geared people still, even to this day, because this has always been an issue. But like you guys are really trained to like try to be perceived. It's not really who you are or your experience, it's how you're perceived. And it's just interesting because I've noticed that like people are more invested in others than themselves. And I realized that with one of my videos about the Wizard Liz, it's like popping off. And I don't know why, because I feel like I have more important things to say. And I've said more important things. I think that that situation is very important in the fact that like this is a good character study of like what happens when you put your whole life online and when someone can target you, what happens when these like red pill community people and influencers can get a hold of women, and you know what happens when you're giving out this advice to the masses and when you're living a certain kind of lifestyle. Like how are you selling that person that lifestyle to fuel your own, and what does that do to your life? Right? Like that's an important conversation. But the thing is that I've been talking about shit like, you know, education, reading comprehension, how history affects us. I have a plethora of topics that I've been talking about back to back. Something that I noticed is that people were like, oh, you know, I had said in the title that it was her downfall. And I definitely agree with that because I think her downfall wasn't just now. It was the second that she decided she was going to be a public figure. And that's what happens for a lot of people because you sign this invisible contract, basically, you know, especially with social media, that if you become an influencer, your audience controls that. You can try to build that up as much as you can. You can do brand deals and partnerships. But for a while, your fan base really is what fuels you, and you're selling the dream to them and they are funding your lifestyle. And that's what I've noticed is that like this is a new world. This isn't like, you know, TV, you sign a contract like back in the day and you were an actor and you're getting paid by the studios. Who gives a fuck about the audience? If they like it, they like it. You know, you want them to like you as an actor, but if you can still book gigs, it doesn't really matter. And now we're like in this new age and day and age where like now companies are trying to like figure this out and everyone's trying to figure this out. But something that I noticed is like I was getting comments about how like, oh, that's not her downfall, she's getting millions of views, like she's still rich. And I realized like people don't know what I'm saying and like they have no critical thinking skills because this woman is compromised. Like her life is forever changed. She has experienced a massive downfall. Her child has been ripped from her. And you're gonna argue that because she's getting millions of views, she's doing fine. She's very clearly in anguish. And it made me realize like you guys value like money, monetary means, you value views, you value whatever is gonna get you some form of fucking clout over what's real. I've noticed that a lot of people, since they're suffering under capitalism and they're suffering under having to be exploited, having to work day in and day out, and they're tired, so they just invest in whatever influencer or celebrity drama they see. That's what a lot of people's outs are. And man, if that's your outlet, you do that. I understand. I've been there before, especially when you're so bored or you just want to disengage. But it makes me realize that like people are losing the grip of reality and what's real. I made another video talking about how like the topic of what a bird is and how a lot of women who say they aren't birds are actually birds because they cater for men. They pay directly into misogyny, misandry, right? And people couldn't understand what I was saying, even though I laid it out flat, and they still argued with me. There were women saying, I don't think you know what a bird is, when I very clearly put out my argument. And I realized, again, people just want to be seen on the right side of things. A lot of people don't even care about the topics they're talking about. They just want to feel supported by another community that will support them for saying the things they're saying. And I think that there are a lot of people who are being very genuine. I think a majority of people try to be genuine, but sometimes it gets lost in translation. And I realize this because I'm on this trip right now, and that's why I haven't been why I haven't been posting. And I've been hiking, I've been outdoors a lot. That's what I really enjoy to do. Anytime I can, I get outdoors, I hike, I swim. And I've been really fortunate to be around hiking communities. I've been fortunate to be around some really cool backpacking people. I took a class and I had to go on a camping trip. And I met the instructors, and they all were experienced backpackers, and I got to talk to them and see them. And something that I noticed is people who are really out in nature, who genuinely have good values. And that's not a dog whistle. I mean, I'm talking about you're respecting the land, you respect the natives who are living on the land, you leave no trace, you do all the things you're supposed to do, you care about human beings, you're genuinely what I would consider as a good person. Something that I've noticed is people who spend more time outside and in nature and in reality, I'm talking about real life, not society, tend to be a little bit more at peace. And that's not to say synonymously all of them, but I feel you become a lot more grateful, in my experience. Or you could be man, that wasn't for me. I met a friend on this camping trip, and we still talk, and she was man, I found out I really don't fucking like camping, and I'm more grateful for my shower, stuff like that. It's just really interesting because I started to realize all the people that I was growing up with who were really outdoors, you could see the way their lives shifted and the choices that they were making on a day-to-day basis. And a lot of these people were really successful, and not in the way that you're thinking oh my gosh, CEO or something. No, they were very fulfilled. They did the things that they wanted to do, and a lot of them were actually really successful in the world as well. But I've also noticed I've been around a ton of people, and it's the people that I knew who were doing a fuck ton of drugs, either they would turn their shit around or they would just get stuck in a hole. And I know that because my parents were like that. I had family members that were like that. I'm talking from personal fucking experience. The things that you do, the choices that you make every single day really shift your reality every day. And it's not even just the big things. It's a lot of the times it's the really small decisions that people don't catch. You think that it's not important that you're drinking 3 cups of coffee every day until down the line. Or you think it's not really important that you're putting school off for next couple years because I'll figure it out when I figure it out. But then down the line you're oh man, fuck, what did I do? Or you're maybe I should wait to travel, or whatever it is, right? These decisions carry a lot of weight. And I'm just thinking about it because I'm man, there's so many people who are more miserable than they need to be because they think that it is a way out to participate in the trap society has set to feel happier for a little bit. And it's really hard because I think that it is a vicious cyclical cycle, especially if you live in the States, because it's set up like this. But I don't know, I've just been thinking about that. I have no desire to present myself as an archetype. I've made this video a couple times, so I don't know if I've mentioned that before, but I just don't have a desire to participate in that. I don't have a fucking particular desire to argue with people on the internet who very clearly are miserable, saying I'm so happy, I'm so happy, I'm so happy. You don't need to say it that much if that's the case. I don't know. These are just my thoughts and feelings. These are my opinions. This is my experience that has happened to me as a human being. This is what I'm sharing. I'm not right. I'm not more right than everyone else. Take what I say with a grain of fucking salt, and I say that with everything. But I think it gets to a point where people need to consider this and what do you want out of your life? I really encourage everyone, go outside. Even if it's going to your local park, even if you live in a city, just try to find a way to go outside or to a community center. I was very fortunate to be able to go on this trip. It still has been a hectic one and kind of rough. But I've seen some amazing things. Do what you need to do to survive and consider what that can do for you today, tomorrow, and down the line.